Very good afternoon, girls. I'll be taking up a new topic on Macroeconomics Unit 3. That what is the topic like? I'll be just telling you in Unit 3. Okay, we'll be discussing about the theory of income and employment, basic concepts, and determination of income and employment. So for that we need to know aggregate demand, aggregate supply and their components, consumption function and investment function, propensity to consume and propensity to save, equilibrium output. Then types of unemployment will be discussing in this chapter for today. So I'll start with aggregate demand and its components. What is aggregate demand? Aggregate demand is the total demand for final goods and services in the economy. It also means aggregate or total expenditure on final goods and services in an economy. Total expenditure. Then aggregate demand is also defined as the total amount of money which all the section, that is household, farm and government, are ready to spend on purchase of goods and services produced and in economy during a given period. So alternatively, it is the total expenditure which the community intends to environment on purchase of goods and services. Aggregate demand is synonymous with aggregate expenditure. So what are the components of aggregate demand? So we'll be discussing now. What are the main components of aggregate demand? The main components of aggregate demand are household or private consumption demand, represented by C. Household is private private sector, enterprise, farm, mayam layreko. Pull up to pullaga private kaidi C manung ani. The number 2, the private investment demand, it is denoted by capital I. Sina private sector sina paisa thadabudu ko investment dabudu. Then government demand for goods and services, represented by Z. Then net export demand has an X minus M lerani ko aduna symbolically AD is equal to C plus I plus Z plus X minus M. So minus pigedurini ko ina formula ni aduna components singsi aggregate demand ki components singsi akona 1 by 1 yang bom dakar le in detail yang si number 1 the household or private consumption demand. It is defined as the value of goods and services that households are able and willing to buy. Alternatively, it refers to total expenditure to be incurred by all households on purchase of goods and services. For instance, households demand for food, clothing, housing, book, furniture, medical service, etc. will be called household consumption demand. Household consumption demand kaurani hai di koi like every yum sagebra cloth ki, food ki, furniture, medical service mam le budu to pisa sanga da budu. It may be for the household, it may be for the private farm ko aduni. Then next component se koina kari kaugada next, what is the next component ko? Private investment demand is the next component. It refers to the planned ex ante. Adi plan double poniko realize ko. It refers to planned expenditure on creation of new capital assets like machine, building, raw materials by private entrepreneurs. Investment is made not only to maintain the present level of production but also to increase the production capacity in future. And economic growth through investment. Adi paisa thola naba makata ba thabak tawbu yana ba machinery the building the raw material ko paisa thadabadu, that is called private investment demand. Then what is number 3 component? Number 3 component is government demand for goods and services. It refers to the government plan or ex ante expenditure on the purchase of consumer and capital goods to fulfill the common needs of the society. Kari yaran isida school shaba transport ki, then hospital ki, roads ki mayamama government paisa thadari electricity ki obi ko. So government demand depends on society's welfare needs and defense needs and is not guided by the profit motive ko. And then a profit motive to in a yang the government ki darkar leba miyam gi nungaina ba lebaks gi defend tonobagi mechanism de amba yengani ba. So what is the number 4 component? Net export demand. Net export se koi na kari na pi hai kanda export minus import we have already known ka. Net export demand si koi na is defined as the aggregate of all the demands for our goods and services by the foreign countries of our country's demand for foreign countries goods and services. Adi foreign country jo koi gi lebak gi import ma demand to ka ado akhoi lebak na su foreign country demand to any to gi akhoi khenabadu export minus import ne kuna ligan koi gi net export demand na it depends upon foreign exchange rate, terms of trade, then trade policy, balance of payment position, etc. Net export demand is depend on physical demand factor foreign exchange rate, terms of trade policy, balance of payment. That will discuss terms discuss. Net export is given by symbolically export minus import. Taking into account all the 4 components of AD, we obtain AD is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Similarly, aggregate demand formula ni, but Keynes takes AD as the sum total of the first 2 components only. Adi consumption ke investment khatanga logi ba Keynes no. Keynes adi kana no afau economics ni ko macroeconomics ni ko 20th century hogulak pada am afau gi ba the economics ni. Thus AD can mathematically be calculated as aggregate demand is equal to consumption demand plus investment demand. AD is equal to C plus I. Adi samjala AD C plus I consumption demand plus investment demand. High na like ni have ko aduna saying a CU and the aggregate demand shima discussed over main components discussed over no pasana digest oro. Then next time we will be discussing about aggregate supply. Adu matang aggregate demand kam na kamai to aggregate supply kam na kamai to we'll be discussing one by one. For today, let me just wind up here, okay, and wish you good health, be safe, okay, and follow the SOP. Thank you very much for today. Bye bye.